We are your relatives.
We are your relations.
Brothers,
sisters,
sons,
daughters.
And some of us are your grandchildren.
We are your community. Historically, we held places of honor and respect. Because of the impact of colonization, some of us are rejected, thrown out from family, friends, and community, set up as targets for sexual violence, sex trafficked, humiliated, tortured, and murdered. Everybody has the right to be safe. We are your relatives. Remember,
Homophobia is not traditional.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
COVID levels may be falling, but the virus is still around. Stay healthy and up to date on your COVID vaccinations and boosters. Right now, everyone 6 months and older is eligible to get a vaccination, while everyone 5 and up is eligible for their booster shot. Plus, you're eligible for a second booster if you're over 50 or received an initial booster dose at least 4 months ago. Find a vaccination site by calling 651-304-9986 or visit vaccineconnector.mn.gov. This message brought to you by the Native American Community Clinic.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies tonight with a low around 65. Saturday, a chance for rain with a high near 83. And Sunday, partly cloudy with a high around 82. Nightingale at 26th and Lyndale in Minneapolis is your cozy neighborhood bar and restaurant. Come in for dinner and drinks. Favorites include the pan-roasted halibut and famous Nightingale burger and fries, while for dessert, make sure you check out the chocolate pot de creme. Open daily 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. with dinner until midnight. More at nightingalempls.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous. Get up, stand up. They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio at the fair, the Minnesota State Fair, the big get-together here. We, Native issues, Wendy, are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
And this portion of the show is brought to you by Native Roots Trading Post at the Minnesota State Fair. This is day 2. We are in the West End Market, and we will be here through Monday, September 5th, and we're really excited to be here.
Hey, we got some news and trivia. The first part here with Ogimaa. She's she's in Red Lake right now, or Bemidji up north. And hopefully she'll come down to the fair soon. But we also have our daughter here, Jaleesa, who say hello.
Hey, Cudahy.
Hey, right on. Right on. We are just having a great energy here at the State Fair. A lot of, you guys, there was a lot of ho-chunks that are showing up here. It's crazy.
That was awesome.
Definitely. But before I get too involved here in my own chitter-chatter, why don't we get with the news here with Ogimaa that you don't hear anywhere else but other on this station and this show and the State Fair will be. Go ahead, Ogimaa, welcome.
Hi, Anumbushu, everybody. I'm Ogimaa Ganuakwe, and I am not live from the State Fair. I'm live from central Minnesota, full of envy and a little bit of sadness that I'm not down there with you guys. But if you didn't know, I have a small baby at home, so we'll be coming up next week, a couple of days, and we'll be able to do the show live there next week. But I wanted to give you guys some news and some information on what's happening in and around Indian country. For all of us water protectors that are out there, I wanted to remind everybody that not this weekend, but next weekend, September 4th, at the Bayfront Festival Park in Duluth, Minnesota, is the Water is Life Festival, which is hosted by Winona LaDuke and benefits the Honor the Earth group. And the MC is going to be Thomas X. Headlining artists is Ani DeFranco, the Indian Girls, Allison Russell, plus great favorites like Kisa Cola, David Huckfeld, and more. Tickets are available at first-avenue.com. It is sponsored by The Current and First Avenue. And if you go to firstavenue.com and you look at tickets, if you enter the code Water Protector, you can get a special discount. If you are one of the nearly 1,000 people in the state of Minnesota who received a legal charge against you while working to protect Minnesota from the Line 3 pipeline, you will get free admission. So just make sure to bring proof of that charge with you when you go. And then children under 10 are free as well. It's an all ages show. So that's going to be really exciting as well. Robert and I will both be up there Sunday, September 4th at the Bayfront Festival Park in Duluth. We went live for the first annual Water is Life Festival last year as well. We're excited to go back and do that again, right, Robert?
Yeah, possible Wendy. We don't know yet, but maybe.
We'll see how the dogs are doing.
Yes.
That's fair. That's fair. Coming up next week, another really important event that's happening here in Minnesota is Leonard Peltier's Walk to Justice. The AIM Grand Governing Council is sponsoring a spiritual walk for the release of Leonard Peltier. The walk will go from Minneapolis, Minnesota to Washington, D.C., and will start September 1st and go until November 14th. There will be stops along the way in Eau Claire and Madison, Wisconsin, Chicago and South Bend, Indiana, Toledo and Cleveland, Ohio, Pittsburgh, and finally Washington, D.C. So all of our relatives who are on that trail for Leonard Peltier's Walk to Justice, September 1st through November 18th, make sure that you take a look around and get connected to your community. If you're going to join the walk for one day, join the walk in spirit, join the walk for a week, whatever you can do is going to be appreciated. Also hoping that next week, Wednesday, I believe it is next week, Thursday, we're hoping to get down and maybe do a little bit of coverage with this with Native Roots Radio as well. Robert, I think we need to be able to clone ourselves. What do you think?
Well, I know we need to clone Wendy because she's retired. Part of her's retired, but I haven't seen her retired. It's coming up to 2 years, Wendy, and I think I've seen you work harder physically at the state fair in the last 4 days.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but I like the physical labor. It feels good.
What do you think of your stepmom there?
She's amazing. What can I say?
Oh, good. We'll remember that during Christmas. Go ahead, Ogimaa.
No problem. So just wanted to let people know that that was happening. And you know what? This is the first walk I think that AIM has done from Minnesota or Minneapolis to Washington, D.C. since the Trail of Broken Treaties in 1972. So kind of a big deal that that's happening. Also wanted to touch base here too that we're at the Minnesota State Fair, and that is a super exciting event that's happening here for Native Roots Radio. But you're actually at the you're actually at the State Fair under the Native Roots Trading Post, right? So that's what people need to look for when they're going to come find you.
That's right.
Awesome.
Native Roots Trading Post in the West End Market.
Oh,
next to the teepee.
Next to the blue
teepee, yeah.
And the blue barn.
We don't want to give them advertising. They're busy all the time.
Another interesting thing that's coming up here, Robert, and I was kind of leaving this one because I was hoping we might have Senator Mary Kunish come on and talk because she's such a big advocate for education. But St. Paul Public Schools and the Board of Education approved a policy earlier this week to recognize smudging as a practice to support Native American students' social and emotional well-being. So community members gathered to talk about that. And I think that's a pretty big step forward for the St. Paul School District, right, Robert?
Well, to make it official, because the school that I worked at, we did it anyways. I had an all-native homeroom, and we were smudging continuously. But now at least you won't hear snide remarks from teachers like, oh, it smells like pot, and what's going on in your room, and kind of direct accusations. Now it's like right in the wheelhouse that they can do it. I did it anyways because what are they going to do? Fire me? My wife, I can be fired.
That's fair. That's fair. Another really exciting thing that's coming up in the world of Emmys and those types of things. End of the Line, which was a documentary on the women of Standing Rock, is actually receiving an Emmy Award, or excuse me, is a nominee for an Emmy Award under the Outstanding Social Issue Documentary category. Excuse me. They're also, End of the Line also won the 2022 Best Broadcast Network or Cable Documentary Television Movie, was a runner-up for the 2022 Journalism Award, and was a nominee for the 2022 Humanitas Prize for Documentary. So that is one I haven't seen yet. Robert or Wendy or Jelaine, have you seen End of the Line yet?
Jaleesa.
I'm sorry, Jaleesa. I'm sorry. For those of you who don't know, Robert has twin daughters, so please forgive me.
Yes, Jelaine was on yesterday, so but I haven't seen it.
No, I haven't either.
To answer your question, yeah.
No. Wendy.
So I gotta figure out where we could stream that one, because that one looks really good. If any of our listeners who are commenting online know where we could stream End of the Line, definitely give us a shout out so we can share with everybody.
Yeah.
And then in the Land Back movement here in Minnesota, there was another really big win. The Fond du Lac Band is celebrating the return of sacred sites in northern Minnesota. They used to have a burial ground at the end of the Wisconsin Point, a peninsula that juts out into Lake Superior near Duluth. And about 100 years ago, they exhumed about 200 Ojibwe people from that burial ground and moved them to a different location at the St. Francis Cemetery on the mainland in Superior, Wisconsin. And those bodies were moved to clear a way for an iron ore dock and infrastructure that was later not built. So they were people living on this land. There was a burial ground there, and these people were forced off of that land for a project for infrastructure that was never built about 100 years ago. And just this week, there was a celebration, and Superior's mayor, Jim Payne, signed over the deeds to both pieces of land to the Fond du Lac Band, which is a really, really big and beautiful ceremony that happens for those people to have their land back. So shout out to the Fond du Lac Band for land back and for getting the remains of their people transferred.
Hey, Peeny Gigi, let's go for a break. If you got any more news, we have to fill this up. I know you're going to have trivia. You're listening to Native Roots Radio at the Fair. We'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
Yay.
We are the Lusa Nation.
I heard sex trafficking happens a lot in Indian country. What is that?
Here are some of the real reasons why sex trafficking happens in Indian country. Unequal gender roles that were forced on us by colonization. Communities don't have enough resources. Silence around domestic and sexual violence. Lack of attention and justice for missing and murdered Indigenous people. There's a lot of behavior that keeps our communities out of balance. These are just a few true reasons why Native communities are targeted by traffickers. When these acts of violence happen in our communities, it opens us all up for exploitation.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
J&S Bean Factory is a Native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Don't fall for vaccine misinformation. Local medical professionals are available to answer any of your questions. Initial shots and boosters are safe for people who are pregnant and even young children. Right now, vaccines are available for anyone over 6 months of age, while boosters are available for anyone over the age of 5. This message brought to you by the Native American Community Clinic. Find a vaccination site by calling 651-304-9986 or visit vaccineconnector.mn.gov.
Bonjour, I am Oshawashko Gijig. I'm from Red Lake Nation, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice.
Wow, a great organization here out of Minnesota. And where are we right now?
We are in Minnesota, and we are at the Minnesota State Fair in the West End Market, and we are Native Roots Trading Post. Just come on down and see the teepee. We're right next to the blue and red teepee.
Wow, yeah. And we have our daughter here, Jaleesa. Introduce yourself in a good way.
Oh, hello, everybody. I'm Chashkap Wakahawinga, Holy Eagle Woman. It's good to be here.
Good to be here, too. Before Wendy came, because Wendy was babysitting our little furry ones at home, Wendy came a little later because Wendy set up this beautiful, along with Jelaine, beautiful booth that we get compliments all the time. But Jaleesa, it's been insane how many Native Americans have been showing up to our booth and Ho-Chunk Winnebagos.
Yes,
Oh, wow.
we were so excited to just connect with people, ask them their tribe, and just connect that way. It's been so great.
I heard you guys have been like giving discounts to these guys.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
We love to do it.
Wendy, what is your feeling? It seems like we're really, natives are invisible, but man, they're coming out here and they're coming out supporting this booth in particular, and they're all over us.
Yeah, I think when they find out that we're here and we have authentic Native American made jewelry, items, all kinds of merchandise, they want to come and support us and support the artists who are, that their art is showcased here in our booth. So they really want to come and take a look at it. I mean, there's items in here that took hours and hours and hours to make, like, for instance, a beaded necklace.
Yeah.
These beads are teeny tiny if you see them, and the detail and the it's so intricate to make this. It's just hours and hours of labor intensive art. And we have it here, and you could come and see it. It's really just beautiful to look at. So
we asked her sister yesterday, Wendy, what is your favorite thing to do at the fair? So why don't we ask Jaleesa the same thing?
Oh, wow. It's so many things. I mean, I just like walking around and seeing everything. In terms of the glass blowing,
I talked about that's funny. I talked about that yesterday.
You got me on that. So I love watching the live skateboarding.
Oh, they're not here anymore.
Yep, they're here. They just have a booth. So hopefully next year they'll get the ramp back. But I like obviously trying the food and just different things.
What's your favorite food? Tell Wendy.
Oh, I'm guilty on this one. Wendy? I crave. Sorry, Wendy, the Prano Pump every year. I'm sorry. But I do like the corn too, and lots of other things.
Yeah.
And you had the pickles today too.
We did have the deep fried pickles.
Those are vegan, Wendy.
Yeah, no, I eat those. Those are delicious. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So again, Ed, what I just want to jump in. What I've really enjoyed too is all the people that have come up to us and heard us on this station and all around Turtle Island on our Facebook Live and in Wisconsin and Double Radio and the Washaw, the whole civic network coming in here and saying, hey, I just want to come and say hello. And then I go, well, buy something then. No, and I said, no, hello, but it's been really exciting and it's been constant all day, hasn't it, you guys?
It really has been. It's been great. It's so fun just meeting people and talking with them and finding out where they're from. And yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, and just being able to say these are all authentic, a lot of Minnesota native made things. It's such an honor to be able to do that and just have such an authentic store.
Wow, well said. Well said. Hey, I got to just say this, Wendy, when we first started the show, this is like a reunion right now. All we need is Uncle Curtis said he was coming down to the fair too, but we haven't seen him.
Yeah, hopefully he'll make it here. Yes.
Then it'll be the original dream team, right?
That's right. The original dream team.
Do you remember when we did that? We didn't have any commercials, so we just did live reads, which just meant that we we were on the whole hour and couldn't say anything when we were sweating. And
Oh, yep.
do you remember what we talked about our first show?
I do. I remember. I remember what happened. Do you want me to tell you that?
Yes.
Tell that
Oh,
story
please tell.
really quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
I need to remember this.
So our
You
very,
will.
very first show, of course, we're all nervous. We've never been on the radio before. We did have a little bit of practice time, but it's not like the real thing. We had a couple of guests that were lined up to be on the show with us. And at the last minute, something happened and they both had emergencies and they could not make the show. So there we were, not knowing what we were doing without the guests.
Right.
And we all freaked
The native
out.
experts.
And we were all sitting around the table with the microphones and the headphones on our ears. About to go live with our mouths open and we're sweating at our brow.
Yeah.
And you know what we did? We talked. We all were at Standing Rock. We were all there and we all talked about our experience in Standing Rock and we filled up the whole hour and it was great. It was a great first show.
It was.
But we did panic up until the 0 hour.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Well, do you remember Uncle Curtis came to pray with us?
Oh, that's
Tell that story. Tell that story.
So Uncle Curtis came and he was just going to say a prayer for us and smudge and bless us all for having a good show.
Yeah,
a good show. But since our two guests didn't show up, I said to Robert, we're not going to tell Uncle Curtis until the very last minute, but we're going to put him in a chair and put a microphone in front of him and put the headsets
What
on
does the elder
and
think?
make sure he's going to go. And we can't tell him beforehand because we don't want him to get nervous. So that's what he did.
What does our elder think was the segment? And he was on for a couple years after that.
He sure was. Yes.
And when we were at the studio in Eden Prairie, we'd smudge off on every show.
Yep.
I missed that.
Exactly.
That was
I missed that.
great.
So that's
That was
our
great.
beginning.
And
Every
miss him.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And miss him too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that was our first show, and that's how it's all got started.
And do you remember what was really funny too? Because even now, especially we have commercial breaks, take the headphones off. Wendy tells me what to do, and then we put our headphones on. We didn't have that because you were doing live reads.
Yes.
On neighborhood stuff, so we couldn't even talk during those 2
We had to
minute
be really.
breaks.
We couldn't even sneeze.
Yep. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at how far you guys have come.
Oh, I know.
It's amazing.
And then we have resist shirts here too for discount. I don't think you'd say prices. So we have.
Oh, we can't say the prices. It's it's a state fair special. Our black and white resist shirts. It has our logo, radio logo on the back, and they are here, and it's a state fair special. So
we're selling a lot.
And it's one of the favorites, anyways. And yep, that's the state fair special.
Yeah.
Come on down to the booth and ask for a state fair special.
You know, it's really funny too. State Senator Mary Kunesh is in flight, so she won't be able to make it. But it's hard to see the politicians because they're coming and going. But what's really interesting, I just want to mention, is the plane that's flying over.
Yeah.
It's like, is that all they got? Is that all these
right?
Republicans
So there's a
got?
little. Little putsy plane going around the fair, and it's got a big banner on the back of it, and it says Walls failed. Now, those of you who don't know who Walls is, who listening in Chicago and Wisconsin and elsewhere, Tim Walz is our Minnesota state governor, and a lot of, I guess, the opposition feel that he failed, and they're spending all their money on this putsy little plane going around and around and around, and it says Walz failed. We support Tim Walz, and we're a little bit upset about this plane going around and around, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll have to see what happens.
Absolutely.
About that. Yeah. So everybody has to get out there, register if you're not registered already, and get out there and vote. We need to vote. We need to get everybody out there. We need a blue wave over Minnesota and elsewhere in the United States.
Yes. Vote and, educate everybody else and get everybody to vote.
Yes, we do. Last year, and we're doing it again, called Rock the Vote Native Style. It's going to be happening on Tuesdays. Over 9,000 Native American people were registered to vote for the very first time in our last election. So that really helped out.
Well,
Yes.
it'll be more. And I've always said that, hey, you know what? There's more natives than you know out there. We're just hiding. And we're coming out at you and in a good way. I do have to say in a good way.
That's right. And for those of you watching us on Facebook, we have
Ogimaa.
our Ogimaa there with her new baby.
So sweet.
This is Nova Lee, and she is just a doll. Could you tell everyone how old Nova Lee is?
Yeah, so Nova Lee will be 6 months on September 8th, and she is just learning how to sit up and practicing eating some solid foods. She's currently got a spoon in her hand. She has 2 teeth and quite a bit of hair. We're pretty grateful for that too. She has been, all in all, a pretty healthy baby despite her first cold being COVID. Her and I had COVID back in May. But she has been pretty healthy, and she's hanging out with me today for the show, even though that doesn't always happen. She just decided she needed me, which is okay, I think, for a baby this age.
Definitely. Hey, we got a surprise guest coming up next here on Native Roots Radio at the fair, and we want to acknowledge and promote all the good things that us natives are doing. We'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
Yeah.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Come see the Native Roots Trading Post at the West End Market of the Minnesota State Fair. Native Roots Trading Post is Native-owned and operated. Shop goods from local and national Native artists that you'll love instantly. Native Roots Trading Post is supporting Native artists this year at the Minnesota State Fair, August 25th to September 5th. Native Roots Trading Post, we support Native artists and you can too. Buy Native at the Native Roots Trading Post this year at the Minnesota State Fair.
Hi, Minnesota. This is David Packman, and you can catch my show weekdays at 2 p.m. for the latest in political news on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Research shows listeners don't like it when ads interrupt their music. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual customizes home insurance, we made this ad optional. If you want to skip this ad, remove your left earphone. Liberty Mutual customizes home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
If you're missing this informative ad, you must love wasting your cash.
It's the easy and smart way to save.
Now it's all been said, so if that earphone was out, put it back in your head.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Warmer weather is here, and that means it's time for home improvement projects. If you're planning a remodel or property upgrade for your home or business, switching to solar energy should be part of your project, and All Energy Solar can help. Most home improvement projects don't pay for themselves until the property is sold, but switching to All Energy Solar is an investment that can actually pay for itself even if you don't sell your property. In fact, after 30 years of operation, solar energy could pay back 300 to 400% of the cost. Plus, a system from All Energy Solar is built to last, not just for years, but decades. Most systems from All Energy Solar come with a 25 to 30-year warranty. So make your home improvement project a better investment that can last and pay for itself by switching to All Energy Solar. Get a free, no-obligation assessment from All Energy Solar by calling 800-620-3370 or visiting allenergysolar.com. That's allenergysolar.com.
Automated Assembly Corporation in Lakeville wants listeners to be aware. Child abuse is a serious problem facing our society today. Ignoring the problem is never the solution. If you find yourself screaming at your children or hurting them, get help. The sooner you try to tackle the problem, the sooner you'll be able to resolve it. For help, call your local child abuse hotline. This message is brought to you by Automated Assembly Corporation in Lakeville. Let's raise children who won't have to recover from their childhoods.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies tonight with a low around 65. Saturday, a chance for rain with a high near 83. And Sunday, partly cloudy with a high around 82.
This is Angela Warner with Warner Stellian. If you've got a broken appliance or one you wish would break, don't settle for poor selection and don't pay a penny more than you should. Warner Stellian has thousands of in-stock appliances, plus save an extra 5%. Shop now at warnerstellian.com.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
They've been a great supporter of Native Roots Radio for, 5 years,
And
for
they
many,
do-
many years.
And they do wonderful work for Native women all over.
We got a guest here that, and we're going to go into serious mode because I've been a little crazy here about the fair, is that we are so proud of you. And I'm so glad that you could make it on our show and just talk a little bit about your journey. And I want you to introduce yourself in a good way, and then we'll get into what you're doing and who you are and what's happening.
All right. Sagoli Swagwek, Kari Wabanaskam, Wapanosa, Niungets, Waganyanta, Niwagita Loda, Onyotiaga, Niwagahunjoda, Okale Manamani, Potawatomi, and Stockbridge Muncie.
Oh.
I am a citizen of the Oneida Nation of Wisconsin, also Menominee, Potawatomi, and Stockbridge, so all Wisconsin, and we're Green Bay Packer fans. Woo, woo. And I'm also known as Mama, Auntie, Wife. My husband and I are celebrating 5 years of marriage today, and also 15 years
Congratulations.
together.
He's took so many pictures of you. He's so proud of you.
Oh, yeah.
And let's talk about why we're all so proud of you. And I just got to say, too, we're on 40 stations in Wisconsin, so it's okay to be a Packer fan sometimes. But I'm glad how you snuck that in there. But let's talk about your journey, because how we met is through my weho, Jelaine, and you were going to the restaurant because you were here in Minnesota for...
I came to the University of Minnesota School of Social Work to get
Go
my
Gophers.
PhD. Yeah, to get my PhD in social work.
Yeah, that's so important. PhD.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long journey. I practiced social work for 10 years in northeastern Wisconsin and across Turtle Island with our Native communities. The reason why I wanted to get into social work is because I experienced the harm that social work it caused my family and my community. So I wanted to do better with
Mhm.
our own people.
Yeah.
And now I'm a professor of social work at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, back
Whoa.
home.
That just gave me chills, Wendy.
That's awesome, really.
That
You
just
should
gave
be
me
very
chills.
proud of yourself.
Thank you.
It's a huge deal. And, we joke around, but it's also so true is how, I don't know if the word danger is right, but how dangerous it is to have an educated Native American, because then it levels the playing field as much as it can. But it's so good for our people. And, I just got to tell a quick story about Wendy. When her other job would deal with Native Americans, and Wendy's not Native American, and she'd say, "What nation are you from?" And then they kind of perk up, and then she'd say, "My husband's Ho-Chunk." And that would knock down a few bricks and be able to work with them
Yes.
on a better level, because the understanding. I can't imagine what's going to happen with you and our people by working with you, and how important it is that you'll be leading so much in different ways with your job.
Absolutely. When you get that PhD behind your name, and it's a little unfortunate it has to be like this, but in the Western world, people listen to you when you have that credential behind your name. And I have a platform, and I take the lead from my late grandparents. My grandfather, the late Judge Louis Hopitas from the Menominee Reservation, my other late grandfather, Sonny Man Dodge, my grandma Bertina Archikit, all strong Native people. I take their lead, very strong advocates for our communities. And I never forgot where I came from. And so I use my platform in a way, and I know I'm going to get pushback.
Yeah.
But then that's when I have to push back even harder
Mm-hmm.
for our own people.
That's right.
And that to me is never forgetting where I came from or who I came from, because I carry them with me in everything that I do.
Wow.
Wow, that's very, very powerful. I love to hear that. And
it's just important to celebrate these accomplishments. And I always tell a lot of the politicians, but especially Peggy Flanagan, when I was teaching high school, is thank you for doing what you're doing, because our children is able to see someone that looks like them in a position of power. I don't want to put it in the colonized way, but that's what I say, so that they look like somebody that's doing great things.
Absolutely.
I want to be careful on how I say that.
No,
but you know what I mean.
yeah, I know what you mean. I struggled in my life. I grew up poor and I barely graduated high school. But you know what? I knew that I could do it. And with the support of my nation, the Oneida Nation of Wisconsin, I got this PhD, and with the support of my amazing family. And I'm so grateful I came to the University of Minnesota. Do you know why?
Go Gophers. No.
Well, when you're going through a PhD, here anyway, in my program, we needed 4 people on our committee to guide our work. My committee was half Indigenous women.
Yeah.
Dr. Katie Johnson Goodstar and Dr. Ellie Samita Muhammad.
Wow.
And that was extremely important for my journey, because they knew exactly where I was coming from and where I needed to go.
Mm-hmm.
wow, that's amazing. That really is amazing.
Yeah, I don't know what I can say to that. I know the history of the university. We've had like the first, I think, a Lakota Dakota language in the country offered there. There was a lot of groundbreaking things happening at the U. So that doesn't surprise me, but that it is surprise me, at the same time.
That's wonderful. How long did it take you to complete your PhD?
It took me 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I completed last summer.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it's
great for
defended
you.
July 2nd,
Wonderful.
2021.
Did you walk with your cap and everything? That must have been like the greatest feeling. Were you just like crying and having goosebumps and just...
It wasn't, they because of COVID, they didn't have it last year, but they invited us back this year.
Did.
But last year, the Minnesota Education, there was a committee that had the American Indian graduation for all Native graduates across the Twin Cities. And so I got to walk across the stage with all the rest of the Native graduates. And to me, that was, I felt that was just so important, because we all saw each other. We were all with each other, watching each other walk across the stage.
Yes. And how many, young girls and young women that you're going to inspire. It's just amazing. It really is. Yeah.
I hope so. And I've been inspired by others too. Dr. Verna Fowler, she was the president of the College of Menominee Nation, and very well known. I used to work for her, and the last thing she told me at the last day of my job, she said, "Carrie, go get your PhD."
Oh,
wow.
Doesn't that sound
she
familiar,
did.
Wendy?
Yes, it does.
Wendy's story is
familiar.
similar. And what I just want to say before Wendy touches on her story is that as an educator, and especially with our Native kids, in my own personal story, it's not a race.
Right.
And you felt that you could be successful given a chance, and your nation gave you a chance and you busted through. Wendy, somebody gave you some inspiration.
Yes, also just another woman also. I worked in a pharmacy as a pharmacy technician for 15 years, and the pharmacist that I worked with, her name was Mary. She just kept saying, Wendy, you're smart. You go back to school, get your pharmacist degree, and become a pharmacist. And I just didn't think I would be able to do it. And by her encouraging me, I did. So I did. I became a pharmacist, and I had a 28-year run, and now I'm retired. So, I have thanked her so many times for encouraging me to get my butt to school and to do the hard work, because she said to me, listen, you're here for 15 years. Another 15 years is going to pass, and, it'll take you 6 years to finish this program. Do it. And I did it, and it was hard. But but you just have to persevere and just putting one foot in front of the other every day. And then year after year, after the third year, you're like, okay, I'm halfway through, right? And then it's like, okay, now I'm done 4 years. Oh my gosh, I finished 4 years. Okay, we have 2 more years. And there is, you can do it if you do it, but you do need support. Like I wouldn't have been able to do it without
your mother.
My mom. My mom had a little basement apartment, and she let me live there because the pharmacy program is full-time, 18 credits a semester, and they didn't have any night classes at the time or online classes or anything. You had to be there every day, show up, and I couldn't really work a lot while I was in the program. So my mom let me live in the basement apartment for pretty close to rent-free. And I wouldn't have been able to do it. I wouldn't been able to work full-time or even part-time, really, and finish this program. So I thank her so much for letting me do that. No, I actually went to school in New York. Yeah, I'm from New York. I went to St. John's University in Jamaica, Queens.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's where I went. Yep.
Well, and I just got to say this, we're about to wrap this up. When I became a teacher, also, I was a paraprofessional, and it was like Wendy supported me and said, hey, the same story is like, 5 years or 4 years from now, you're still going to be 4 or 5 years older. Why don't you get a degree? And it's like, yeah, cool. And then as an educator, what I told young teachers, I said, you're going to change somebody's life. You just might never know who it is, but I guarantee you will. And that's what you're doing. That's what you've done. And that's what we're all trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's been...
This fun show's gotten
really
emotional
is.
for me
I
now.
know. I'm feeling emotional, too. I'm getting a little teary-eyed.
I get emotional coming back here because the 5 years we were here was absolutely amazing. I want to shout out to the Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center as well.
Yes.
They got me through my home stretch when I was writing my dissertation. They put a call out to for people to help make ribbon skirts and shirts for the high school graduates. And I went over there and I walked into the room, and there was nothing like walking into a room of Native women laughing, sewing. And that was so healing. And so I want to shout up to them.
No, that's perfect and
Wow,
beautiful.
that's
And I want to
great.
give a shout out to you and your family for coming and supporting Native Roots Trading Post and stopping in on and helping us with this beautiful segment that we just did.
Yeah, this was great. We really appreciate it, Carrie. I really appreciate it. Say, you don't have to say your last name if you don't want, but
Carrie Wabanascom.
That's right.
Wonderful.
That's
Thank you for
beautiful.
saying
My
that.
Wannon. Thank you.
Peeny Gigi,
Yes,
thank you so
awesome.
much.
Thank you so much.
Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and up next our sacred animal section with Wendy.
Stay with us.
We are the Alusa Nation.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Come see the Native Roots Trading Post at the West End Market of the Minnesota State Fair. Native Roots Trading Post is Native owned and operated. Shop goods from local and national Native artists that you'll love instantly. Native Roots Trading Post is supporting Native artists this year at the Minnesota State Fair, August 25th to September 5th. Native Roots Trading Post, we support Native artists and you can too. Buy Native at the Native Roots Trading Post this year at the Minnesota State Fair.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
This is our fair sacred animal, our relations portion here, the state fair version. And I want to introduce Wendy. Everybody knows who Wendy is. We see people today, which is really exciting. There was not a young man, but a man that just ran by with a Resist shirt and was going to the concert and said, is that Wendy?
Yeah.
Or is that, so yeah, it's just great to be out here and see people that support us. And so Wendy, this is our sacred fair animal portion. Welcome.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. My name is Hanaji Hihani, and that means cares for them. As everyone knows, I was given that name by my Dega, Curtis. Curtis goes by Mashke Hanajinga. That means walks on white clouds. I'm a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I work on animal issues at the local and state level. And I have a kind of a funny, weird story to tell you guys. So this is Robert and I first year at the Minnesota State Fair, and we don't get to pick where we are. They just tell us, yes, we have a place for you, and you're going to have a booth that's 20 feet by 10 feet, and you're going to be in the West End Market, and that's going to be your spot. So we were like, great, we'll take it. So excited. So we're here, we're moving in, we're getting all our merchandise, we're setting up, and so everybody knows that I'm an big animal advocate, and because of that reason, I am vegan. So I don't eat any animal products at all. And it's been 10 years now. So that's just that's just me. So I have to laugh when I tell you this, but the state fair is a little bit over. I think it's like 320 acres, maybe 324 acres big. That's how big this place is, a little over 300 acres. It's gigantic. Well, guess who's our next door neighbor?
Who?
A taxidermist.
Oh.
Taxidermist is literally is our neighbor. So what does he have there? He has hides and furs, and he has like all these different animals: coyotes, bears, beavers, all
standing bears,
like standing up. They're stuffed, like all these stuffed animals. So I believe that creator is trying to teach me some type of a lesson, maybe tolerance, or I mean, I don't know what it is, but the guy who owns it, his name's Tony. He's been a nice guy. So I kind of in my head call him Tony the Tiger.
Oh, okay.
And his helper there, his name is Ben. So in my head, I call him Gentle Ben. And so there's the taxidermist. But what were you going to say about this, Robert?
Well, I've had Native Americans look at our setup here, and a couple have said this, and it looks like it's the Cowboys versus the Indians here.
Yeah, and that many of our sacred animals, the beautiful animals, like you could see like a young adolescent bear. You could tell it wasn't a full-grown bear, was shot and killed and stuffed. So that was a sacred animal and for sale, and people are buying this stuff. So yeah, so the vegan is next door to the taxidermist. That's, I mean, what else can you say? I mean, Alice, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. So there is a butcher, a vegan butcher in Minneapolis. It's called the Herbivorous Butcher. And this is their first year here at the Minnesota State Fair. And they are in the food court section, food building. The food building, it's in a different area. But I am going to sneak out of here and go over there and see what they have because I support the Herbivorous Butcher.
I think it's in the food building, right?
Yes, in the food building. Their real brick and mortar store is in Minneapolis, And it's kind of fun, you go in there and it's set up just like a butcher shop, with the window, and you get to see all the quote meats in there, and they call everything, they call it chicken, they call it roast beef, and everything is really, really delicious. So we really love doing that. And so the vegan is next to the taxidermist, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, very weird.
Yeah, but again, what can I say?
I don't know, but
No.
do you have any fun facts?
I always have some fun facts about animals, and I have talked about these specific ones before, but we always have new listeners.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't remember what you heard before,
I don't remember what I ate.
Well, the one that I really love is that koala bears, those cute little bears from Australia, they have fingerprints that are so close to humans that they could taint crime scenes. Yes, they do. They have very close to ours. And another thing is about little parrots. Parrots will selflessly help each other. They've been known to do that at all times. Yes. And the one thing that I really love are little prairie dogs. And I really think that they are the cutest little things. And the cutest little thing about prairie dogs is that they kiss. They actually face each other and kiss on the lips.
That makes me want to kiss you right
They
here at
do.
the fair.
And yeah, if I had pictures, if I knew I was going to be talking, Robert's going to kiss me. That was a
kissed her at
kiss
the
on the
fair.
cheek. That's okay. But yeah, they are. They stand up and they face each other and they kiss each other on the lips. I just think that they are so cute. They really are.
I was
Little
trying to
furry
go for,
things.
Go
I
for
do.
the lips, but you were talking.
Oh, I know. And I'm facing here with the I'm facing the microphone.
I have a funny story too quick, Wendy. You were talking about there's a stuffed beaver over there, but my newborn, or my youngest, Nova, received a little gift basket, and it had a little stuffed animal on top of it. My friend gave it to her, and it had some washcloths and some burp cloths and a little play blanket and some things with it. On top of it was this little stuffed animal. It was fall themed. I didn't think much of it, and then I busted it out the other day, and I look, and here she has a tiny, and I'm telling you, it's the size of my hand. It's a tiny stuffed beaver.
Oh.
And I have never seen a stuffed animal for a child before that was a beaver. And I gave it to her, and she just loves it. So here she just cuddles this cute little beaver. It's got a little flappy tail and buck teeth and everything, and it's just the cutest thing. It makes her smile.
That is so cute. That's adorable. I love that story. Yeah, and
That's a
kids,
stuffed one.
you'll have to see. Kids kind of like get attached to things like that, and they'll carry it around for years and years. Does Anna have anything like that she
Anna
loves?
does. It's still in a box. She had a little small monkey in a blue t-shirt that rattled, and we called him Mr. Monk after the old show Monk, or Adrian Monk, the detective with the OCD. I used to watch that, so we called him Adrian Monk, and then occasionally if he'd fall out of the shopping cart or something, I'd make a Rocky reference and yell, "Adrian," as he fell out of the cart.
What
So we
about you,
just found
Wendy? Do you have a baby from back then?
When I was a kid, I had a little stuffed Bozo doll. So,
We've been
I'm
looking
a
for
kid
that
from
for
from
20
the 60s. I was born in 1960, so I used to watch Bozo the Clown all the time, and I had a Bozo doll, and that was my favorite doll. I remember taking him when I got my tonsils out. And,
No.
I loved
Do you
him.
remember mine?
Yes, you had little Johnny.
Yes.
You still have Johnny.
Yes, I do.
Robert has everything that he's ever had in his whole life.
American
It's a little
baby.
African American baby. Didn't your grandma sew it or something, or
Yeah.
fix it or sew
No,
it?
she
But
made
he-
it and
but-
stuffed it. So
Yeah, Robert named him Johnny. Isn't that cute? My cousins used to have blankets, but they used to call them goggies. So, growing up,
This
like
is
if
our
you have
sacred baby,
like a
portion.
well, we're changing the subject, which often happens when you're having conversations. But like we have a goggy on our couch. So like when you cuddle up on the couch, you're watching a movie, or if it's a little chilly in the house, you grab your goggy. So we have a goggy. We always call it goggy.
That's
Yeah,
funny. I
can't
never had
remember.
anything like that when I was a
Never
baby.
had
I never
anything like
had
that? Oh.
No blanket, no stuffed animal, no pacifier. Not. I didn't even really do a bottle. I kind of skipped and went straight
We're
to a
gonna
sippy cup.
go out for
But
Oprah.
when I got older,
Yeah.
I had something. So
We're gonna put some tobacco out for you today because of that, and then we'll pray for you during your therapy because that's.
yeah,
So
like that commercial we had.
even now you can get something now that you like and have. That's
You know,
important.
I had something given to me when I was a baby, and I didn't like it when I was a baby, but it was given to me by my mother's mother. And when she passed away when I was about 9, I got pretty attached to it. And my daughter's now attached to it. So we have that passing down.
There you go.
Well,
That's great.
We only have a few seconds left here. I want to thank everyone. It was up and down, very emotional and very fun. Thank you, Ogimaa. Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah, we want to thank Carrie for giving that beautiful talk about her getting her PhD.
And
very inspiring.
And Jaleesa.
Yes, Jaleesa.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to